All right, so you've signed up for the Humorist or the Joke Master role at your local Toastmasters club, and perhaps it's the night before your meeting and you're thinking, oh boy, I'm not funny. I don't know how to make people laugh. Why did I sign up for this role? I need some ideas. I'm searching YouTube and trying to figure this out. Take a breath, relax. You've come to the right place. My name is Wade Patterson, and I'm passionate about impactful communication, and I'm passionate about helping people through their Toastmasters journey. So if that is you, if you are somebody who has started attending meetings, maybe you've been a club member for a long time, make sure you subscribe to this video because I'll be putting out more content specifically about Toastmasters and various Toastmasters roles and how you can crush it no matter what you sign up for. First off, what is the humorist or the joke master role? And depending on your club, they call it different things. There's different names for this, but essentially the goal is you want to speak for 1 to 2 minutes about something that gets your audience to laugh. Now, humor is one of the most powerful devices we have as speakers, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the video, why humor is such an incredible tool. But what I found for the humorist or the joke master role in general is that personal stories often, more times than not, result in laughter than canned material or jokes or Google searches where you get funniest jokes of the day or whatever you're doing to find previously made jokes that are done by somebody else. Those can work. I have seen them work, but it's much more rare. Usually those are kind of that awkward laughter, and it doesn't, the Toastmasters is an encouraging spot in general. So the fact you're doing the role, I think your club is going to be very supportive. But if you really want to get that genuine laughter, I would lean toward a funny personal story. We all have funny personal stories. There are things in life that have happened to us that are humorous things. It's one of the great joys of life that funny things happen, and then these are stories that we can share with our friends at a coffee shop or a pub or at a family reunion or whatever it is. So that's a first place to start thinking is, what are some stories you like to tell friends? What is your favorite thing to get somebody laughing? What is a story that you like to tell them? Diving deeper into the personal story idea is self-deprecating humor. Now, your story doesn't have to be self-deprecating humor, which essentially means you're kind of poking fun of yourself. You are the one who comes across looking a little bit silly in the story. But if your story happens to fall into that category, that is an even more powerful tool for you to use as a speaker, because there's something about self-deprecating humor that the audience connects with. They feel for you. They feel your pain. They see themselves in your shoes, but at the same time, they're going to cringe for you as you go through the story, and it's going to really spur that laughter on. So once you have a story, one of your biggest challenges, because most stories are more than 1 to 2 minutes, is how you're going to pare that down to a 1 to 2 minute speech. And the important thing here is to practice. Time yourself doing this, because humorist is one of those roles, or joke master, whatever your club calls it. It's one of those roles where people tend to go over time because they don't realize that, especially if you're getting some laughter from the audience, that prolongs the story a little bit. And if you haven't really practiced and made sure that that is something you can tell within 2 minutes and get people laughing very quickly, you're going to be running out of time. The timer is going to be showing you the red light. If you have a little bell that the timer uses to speed up the speaker, they'll be dinging that bell. Therefore, you really want to practice. You can do this a couple ways. You can practice in front of a friend or a loved one. You can just record yourself on your phone and record it that way and practice. Or you can set a timer on your phone, do it in front of the mirror. Any one of these ways is a great way to not only be prepared for your role, but to know that it's going to be the right amount of time. Now, earlier I mentioned that humor is one of the great tools that any speaker can leverage to really win over an audience. The thing about humor is that it is best done early in the speech. For joke master or humorist, that means it has to be done in the first few seconds. You have to almost have an introduction sentence that gets your audience prepared to laugh or laughing. But in a longer speech, again, it is important to do it fairly early, in the first 30 seconds perhaps, getting a little bit of humor, getting some laughter from the audience. Why is this so important? Humor does two things. First off, it boosts your own confidence. So many of us, when we get in front of a crowd, even though I've been in Toastmasters for years, I still get those nerves and I'm a little bit anxious of, is this going to be well received? How is the audience going to take this? And if I can make the audience laugh early, instantly it calms those nerves. It makes me more comfortable on stage or standing in front of them. And the second thing it does is it relaxes the audience, because one of the first things audiences ask is this going to be funny? They see someone, think about the last time you were at a wedding, you see somebody get up and take the mic and you wonder, is this going to be a good speech? Is it going to be funny? Am I going to laugh? And if that speaker can make you laugh in the first 30 seconds, boom, you're sold. Now you're paying attention. They've made a connection with you already. You're paying attention and you're going to enjoy the rest of what they have to say. My final tip for taking on the humorist or the joke master role is to not get rattled if that laughter doesn't come. Sometimes in our heads, we predict or we think we know when the audience will laugh or what's a reasonable time in the speech or the humorist role that would typically create laughter. But sometimes that doesn't happen. I've been surprised many times. Sometimes I'll say something that I think is hilarious and it'll be crickets, nothing. And on the other hand, sometimes I'll say something that I don't actually think is that funny and the room erupts and it's confusing sometimes. But when the first example happens, when you say something, maybe it's a punchline or you're expecting, especially if it's early in the speech, and you don't get the same amount of laughter you were hoping for, don't let that get you rattled, because that can be one of the most rattling things. And this is why Toastmasters is great, because we get that experience practicing trying to be funny, practicing various speeches in various sort of scenarios. Therefore, if you run into this issue where you say something early and maybe it doesn't connect, keep your head up, keep your confidence. If you're really advanced or if you really want to take it to the next level, you could throw in something like, there was more laughter when I practiced that in my car driving over here this morning, but that's cool. And something like that, a sarcastic remark, and that may actually start to get the laughter going. I have nothing but respect for anyone who is brave enough to take on the humorist or the joke master role. It is not an easy role to take on, especially for those people who maybe don't consider themselves to be funny, but this is a skill worth developing. Therefore, I really encourage you to sign up. And if you've already signed up, don't worry, you've got this, you're going to crush it. I hope that this video brought you a little bit of value, that it helps you take on the humorist role. Like I said at the beginning of the video, please subscribe to my channel. It would mean so much. I'm really focused on putting out great content about the Toastmasters program, but also beyond that, other subjects that have to do with being an impactful communicator, and I think you'll get a lot of value out of subscribing to my channel.